Okay, well, hello and welcome. My name is Patrick Howe, and I'm a utility vegetation management professional here in Ontario, Canada, and I help power lines and trees coexist. And my job today is to provide some insight into remote sensing opportunities to help enhance utility vegetation management operations. So the agenda for my presentation, really my purpose is to provide a customer perspective on some of the key challenges we face in utility vegetation management. And so I'll start my presentation with an overview of our company and some of the vegetation management activities that we conduct. And then I'll dive deep into challenges we face in long-range planning, clearance assessments, hazard tree identification, outage restoration, and stakeholder communication. So first, a bit about our company. HydroOne energizes life for people and communities, helping Ontarians live a better and brighter future. We've been in business for over 100 years, and our employees, 9,300 strong, help manage the 30,000 kilometers of transmission and 125,000 kilometers of distribution network across our province. Within the Ontario electricity market, we manage transmission and distribution assets. The transmission system transmits electricity from generators to large customers and distributors across the province, and our company manages 98% of the provincial transmission grid. On the other hand, the distribution system transmits electricity to our customers, and HydroOne serves 26% of the population of Ontario. Now, when you think about our service territory, I've brought up here on the screen a map of Ontario. Now, the yellow sections are areas of the province served by other utilities. The green section is a service territory of over 640,000 square kilometers that HydroOne serves. We are mostly a rural and remote distributor and transmitter of electricity. And we have, I think, 1.6 million poles and serve 1.5 million customers. So that density is a real challenge for us. Now, the electricity landscape in Ontario is really interesting as well. We have a pretty clean electrical supply. In 2021, 55% of our power was supplied by nuclear generation, with another 23% provided by water. And we also have 12% coming from alternative sources like solar, wind, and bioenergy. One final note on our company, HydroOne. We have a strategy that's built on the foundation of 5 strategic priorities. We want to plan, design, and build a grid for the future. Be the safest and most efficient utility. Be a trusted partner with our customers and our stakeholders. Be an advocate for our customers, and we want to grow and innovate our business. So now, after that quick introduction, I'd like to share with you a video of our forestry operations. As you sit back and enjoy the video, I'd like you to think about the people doing the work, the type of work that's being done, the tools and equipment that we're using to complete our work, and some of the decisions we have to make on a daily basis that could be supported by remote sensing.
When we're hiring for the apprenticeship, we're looking for their skill set of climbing, what their knowledge is of trees and the characteristics of trees. It gives us a little step up with the guys that are coming in, and it allows us to build on their skills that they already have in place. These guys are here because they enjoy working in the outdoors and they love working in trees.
I enjoy being outside, I enjoy working with my hands. The biggest tree I've probably been up at HydroOne is about 85 feet. It's actually challenging, it's different every day. I don't want to be anywhere else. We trim back the trees from the hydro lines to maintain our clearance so it doesn't spark or doesn't feed back into the line. Because if we don't trim their trees back from the hydro line and give them the clearance, then they can be without power when it gets windy, when it rains, when the snow hits. That's the reason why we do the maintenance on the lines. It's just so to keep everybody in power.
If a customer called about this, it's because it's got rot. You can visually see the tree's in bad shape. A forestry tech will come out, assess the tree, and he'll give his okay whether or not to take it out or not. And we're not butchers by any means, but we have to maintain our clearance. This would break a lot of poles if this tree happened to come down, so it's a good tree to take out. You get a little bit of windstorm, the power's out. It doesn't have to be that strong either. It doesn't have to be a storm for situations like that for the power to go out.
See where the ash tree fell, landed on the line. We had got in that, we were wedged in the dead ash tree. start burning naturally ash trees. This is a good example of why we're clearing trees back from the lines.
Our work program's 485 kilometers of line clearing. We're basically accomplishing a tree every 15 to 30 minutes. We got dedicated observers, and then we've got the person that'll be operating the truck to end up pulling it over. We'll need a guide person to end up guiding them, to end up making sure that the truck's not going into any traffic. We got traffic control to end up making sure that everything's controlled on top of it.
Being that we do have a lot of backyard work in Exeter, we've brought in the apprentices who are coming through the system that allows them to develop their skills in climbing in the backyards. It's a career. It's not a job, it's a career for these guys. These guys are here because they enjoy working in the outdoors, and they take pride in what they do, and you can see it. You're dealing with the public, you're dealing with towns. It's a wide variety of things. It's different every day.
Okay, wonderful. Give me a thumbs up in the chat if you can still hear me. But that video makes me really proud of the organization that I work for and the people that are doing the work for us every day. I hope it provided a good oversight of the type of work that we do, the types of working conditions that we work in on a regular basis, and really just an appreciation for the vast amount of staff and the professionalism that we see on a regular basis. So now, as we kind of move away from a general overview of our company and the vegetation management business, I'd like to key in on a few challenges that we see on a daily basis that I think remote sensing can help with. So first, I'd like to start with long-range planning, and this is a really important piece of information. Vegetation management is one of a utility's greatest operations and maintenance expenses. And so our challenge as planners is to think about how we can build a strategic, tactical, and operational plan so that we can make sure that trees and power lines can coexist and power can flow in a safe and reliable way to our customers. Now, these strategic, tactical, and operational plans are really contingent on an accurate understanding of our projected workload. And this is where remote sensing can really help. If we can get an at-scale understanding of vegetation workload across our system, it can help inform an accurate budget for next year, the year after, 5 years from now, and it can help us build a human resources plan, a fleet plan, and an equipment plan so that we can get the work done. Also, with big expenses come big expectations. Being one of the largest maintenance expenses in our organization, there's a lot of focus on the outcomes we're getting from our vegetation management investment. Specifically, we like to focus on the safety, both for public and for our employees, how vegetation management is improving reliability, and how it's impacting the environment. And obviously, anytime you make an investment, you want to make sure that you're getting a return on that investment. And so where remote sensing can really help with that is looking backwards at the condition of our system last year or the year before, and looking at the same condition today and doing a change detection and understanding the amount of risk that we've removed from our system through planned investments. As we move away from a more kind of at-scale understanding, we can think about the work that our people do on a daily basis. And tree clearance is one of the most important pieces of information that we gather from our front lines. Trees close to power lines are unsafe, and they pose a threat to reliability. So one job that we do every day is judge how close trees are to our wires. Not only are we trying to understand where our risk is today, but where it will be next year and the year after. So from a remote sensing perspective, think growth modeling. And then as we layer on our geographic characteristics of our network, we can look at tree clearance risk and we can understand it in a greater context. Where do we have the highest concentration of risk? And where are critical aspects of our network where tree clearance issues are biggest? And when we understand that holistic understanding of risk, then we can build a vegetation management program that can have the biggest impact on improving safe and reliable power distribution and transmission. Now, measuring the distance between a piece of vegetation and a power line is sometimes a bit challenging, but it's pretty straightforward. One of the more interesting challenges we have is understanding hazard trees. Tree failures are one of the greatest risks to power reliability. And our challenge as utility vegetation management professionals is to understand and predict which tree will fail next and why it will fail. And you'd be surprised, it's not often the trees you think are going to fall over are the ones that are causing the issues. So we really need to look into tree health, site conditions, and other externalities like pest and disease outbreaks, flooding, drought, and wildfire, and their impacts on the utility forest adjacent to our assets, and understand how these factors combine to create risk of where the next tree will fail. And then similar to our clearance assessment, understanding the geospatial characteristics of that risk and how it overlays on the consequences to our customers so that we can build an insightful and informed vegetation management program that can have the biggest impact on safe and reliable power distribution and transmission. So we've talked a little bit about planned maintenance. Now I want to think about one of the more impactful jobs, which is outage restoration. Often when the weather is strong enough to cause one tree to fail, it's strong enough to cause many, and that wreaks havoc on our assets and our customers. So one of our jobs in outage restoration is to understand where the next event will happen, how big it will be, and help inform how we can prepare, how we can stage resources and equipment to better respond to that outage event. And then where remote sensing can really benefit us is after the event happens, gaining rapid situational awareness. Think about an ice storm where many, many square kilometers have been damaged by dramatic ice overloading our assets. Our best means right now is to send people in their pickup trucks out to the field in that dangerous environment to understand where the damage is and the extent of that damage. They collect information on which roads are closed, how many trees have fallen, where the poles need to be replaced, and that helps inform us on how many people and what type of resources we need to deploy and where. If through remote sensing, we can gather a rapid situational awareness after an event happens, we may be able to respond to these outages quicker and get our customers back in power. Now, the final item I want to touch on is stakeholder communication, and where I think remote sensing can be of big value to us as utility operators. Now, trees are a valuable asset, and they're well loved. They're well loved by our customers, they're well loved by our communities, and they're also well loved by our staff. But often the discussion and the impacts of our work is a challenging conversation. So how can we use remote sensing technologies to effectively communicate the impacts of our upcoming work? So naturally, we can think about maps and showing customers and stakeholders, municipal governments, maps of the areas that will be affected by planned maintenance this year or maybe next year. Those are super helpful. But how can we get right down to the site level and communicate with our customers the impact of pruning that specific tree in your front yard? How can we use things like rendered images to show what a proper pruning job on this tree would look like and how much of the tree we may have to prune? And I think one area that's really interesting is how can we use augmented reality to interact with our stakeholders so that they can appreciate and understand the beneficial impacts of the work and also the consequences of inaction. So over the last 14 minutes, I've attempted to provide some use cases that are relevant to me as a vegetation management professional, and a bit of a call of action to the geospatial community to help us with remote sensing technologies to do our job in a more efficient and effective way. Now, I look forward to answering some questions, and I certainly look forward to hearing from the rest of the panelists and the types of solutions they have to offer. And I want to thank you for your time.